Although we may not realize it, food is a good way to tell our stories at home. There are several examples where Native Americans use storytelling to talk about our traditions. One example is Three Sisters Stew. Three Sisters Stew uses three main ingredients: beans, corn, and squash. Very long ago, there were three sisters who lived in a field. The youngest was small and crawled really close to the ground. The middle sister was dressed in a bright yellow dress and ran all over the field, and the last sister stood super tall and straight. This sister wore a green shawl and had bright yellow hair, much like corn. The three sisters could not imagine living without one another. One day, a little boy visited the field that they lived in. The sisters were intrigued by his presence, but soon after, the littlest sister disappeared. The two other sisters were so sad and missed their sister greatly. Come the fall, the boy returned, and the second sister with the bright yellow dress disappeared like the sister before her. There was only one sister left, and she cried for her sisters to return. Although she continued to stand tall, her shawl began to lose color and her hair became dry and tangled because of how devastated she was. One day, the little boy returned and heard that the oldest sister was crying. He felt very sorry for her and took her in his arms. He carried her home, and to her surprise, her sisters were there in his lodge. They explained to her that they followed the boy home and decided to stay because they knew that the winter was going to come soon. And if they stayed with the boy, they would be warm all winter. In this story, each sister represents corn, beans, and squash, and tells about something called companion planting, which is where three crops are planted near one another. Each crop helps one another grow, and without each other, they begin to become sad and don't grow as well. These are methods that Native Americans use to help their crops flourish. In Missouri, the three sisters were responsible for the surplus of food that helped to expand the local population for early Native nations. This story also tells us about how indigenous peoples would collect their crops early on in the fall to keep them all fed throughout the winter. Storytelling helps us learn about the various traditions that Native Americans had and can also tell us about our own traditions. This Thanksgiving, ask your family about the traditional foods you may eat at home during the holiday season. Maybe you'll hear some interesting stories.